Juggling is so many things to so many people. It's an art, it's a sport, it's an activity to release tension.
It's a sculpture that exists as long as you keep your hands moving. You stop, it goes away.
It's a skill that I'm learning for no other reason than to just do it.
I find that juggling is also a form of meditation, a form of relaxation.
It's a challenge. I haven't found a better way to waste time yet.
The U.S. Department of Juggling is an informal band of friends who get together once a week and juggle. Now for more than 10 years, we've been getting together here in Washington. We're an affiliated club of the International Jugglers Association. And we have people of all different ages, all different skill levels, people who are professionals, people who are amateurs, all coming together to share juggling. The main thing that happens is spontaneous juggling. People get together to practice. They get together to try out tricks, to learn tricks from others, to try props, to get ideas, share ideas, work out performances, and to meet. It's a social activity.
I think to learn how to juggle, a lot of people have this misconception that you need to be coordinated, and you will probably get a lot of other jugglers tell you what the truth is, really. And that is, you learn coordination from juggling. You don't need it to learn how to juggle, but you obtain it as you learn new tricks.
Oftentimes, I come home from work and it's a good, tensional outlet. And I'll start and I'll do it for an hour. I just keep doing it and I can't stop.
I'm always looking for bigger, brighter, challenging things to juggle. A lot of longtime jugglers get bored with the usual balls, clubs, and rings. One thing I stumbled upon, literally, was traffic cones, which I saw as pretty much the same as juggling clubs. You can flip them the same. The biggest difference between juggling clubs and juggling traffic cones is that the cones are much heavier. It took me a year or so before I could really juggle 3 of them for more than, say, 10 or 15 seconds at a time.
Chris is really unique because he's so young and he's so talented, so it's enjoyable just to get him at this stage because I know he's going to be really good someday.
Well, I like juggling with Micah because he's good at performing and he just tells me about performing, and he also shows me tricks. And I also like passing with him, and he's a good person.
The members of the Juggling Club are practicing an art that can be traced back to the earliest civilizations. In ancient Egypt, juggling was a form of recreation. Women jugglers were depicted on Greek vases in the 5th century BC. In medieval Europe, court jesters and wandering minstrels combined juggling with music making. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, juggling became a popular form of entertainment. Circuses featured jugglers among their performers. Vaudeville shows and variety theaters included juggling acts. Today, jugglers continue to amaze and entertain their audiences.
Born to do it, baby! I was born to do it. Yes, I was. All right, here we go. Oh, zip, snap, and juggle, 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 juggle. Oh, baby, oh, baby, oh, baby, oh, baby. We got a reverse there, I say, gimme, 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 gimme. All the way over, up, ho, lay it up, Later.
Making a living as a juggler is a very interesting proposition. I haven't had much difficulty earning my share of an income as a juggler. It pays pretty well, and there's a demand for it. People want juggling. It's something that everybody enjoys. I started juggling because I was a stressed out corporate art director. I met my first jugglers, and instead of going to therapy, I started juggling instead. It was definitely the thing for me. I just started juggling like a maniac, and I haven't stopped for 22 years. My interest in doing shows is to have the audience learn some juggling and learn some appreciation for the juggling, especially kids.
All jugglers start the same. We learn with scarves, and this is how you do it. This is the true juggle now. Hands like a lion, and you fling it up and claw it down, rough. You fling it up and claw down. Fling it up and claw. So fling, claw, yes.
My show has been described as chaos in motion, sort of a controlled chaos. I open the show with 5 minutes of fancy juggling just to convince them that I know what I'm doing. And then after that, it's a series of chaotic, massive routines where I get anywhere from 100 to 50 kids up, and they're doing all different skills, balancing feathers, spinning plates, throwing scarves, doing rings. I've got all kinds of wacky stuff in my basement. When kids realize that this show is their show, they get so excited. They are really, really, really into it, and they just blow up. They just go crazy. My job is to keep them contained and make a safe environment where they can go crazy. It's more important to me to have the audience go away with a real appreciation for juggling, a new understanding of it, and I hope that by sharing this with other people, I'm laying the seeds of other little jugglers out there. So I encourage anybody, if you're out there thinking about, oh, can I make a living as a juggler? Yes, you can, so you get busy.
Free juggling lessons! Free juggling lessons! Come on, come on.
The Juggling School is a part of the Maryland Renaissance Festival and has been for the 10 years that I've been both a patron and a participant here. It's been part of the fair for as far back as I can remember, and juggling is just assumed to be part of Renaissance festivals. And I think we carry it just a level or two further in not only just having juggling demonstrations as part of acts, but in teaching the patrons to juggle as well. I got my son a juggling book for Christmas, and he opened it up and it just promptly pitched it away in favor of video games. And as a typical parent, I thought, well, you know, somebody paid $10 for this book. Someone's going to learn how to juggle, so I learned how to juggle out of it. It took a couple weeks to learn out of a book, but I found that after I learned that couple weeks, again, I did it and I was pretty happy that I could teach others to juggle in 15 or 20 minutes. So came back to the Renaissance Festival and pestered them until they let me teach here. During the course of the day at the juggling school, we teach very many people how to juggle with 2 balls. We'd like to get them up to 3 balls, however, many distractions, including family and the other acts here at the fair, prevent us from getting all the time we'd like with our patrons. So we spend an awful lot of time teaching thousands of people to juggle with 2 balls. The basic juggling pattern, it's been called the chopsticks of juggling, is the cascade. And like a water cascade, the water cascades out the middle of the fountain and goes out on the outside. The balls do the same thing. They'll come up the middle of the fountain and cascade out the outside. This is interesting for the first 6 throws. After that, we get bored, and then there are, of course, every trick comes from either a variation of this or a mistake that someone made and then a fast recovery. Hey, I'll put that in the act. This is the same cascade, just wider and flatter, but very enjoyable. But what we'll tell people here at the juggling school is, come on in. If you have stress, it helps to relieve it. And for those who say, well, I don't have any stress, well, fine, this will give you some. But either way, there'll be some change.
Juggling is a combination of jogging and juggling, or running and juggling. And I've got involved in it through juggling conventions. Every year they have juggling conventions, and one of the things they have there are these juggling races. And that's how I got into it. In 1989, I went to a juggling convention. I went to these races, and that's probably how a lot of other people get into it too. I used to run just regularly running, but For the last 8 or 10 years, whenever I've run, I've always been juggling. And I'd say about 99% of the time, I'm juggling 5 balls. I'm in the Guinness Book of World Records for the 5-ball 5K. It's basically just, I ran around, I set the record at Juggling Convention in Rapid City, South Dakota in 1996. And it's just a 5K, juggling 5 balls. And then I broke the record again in Pittsburgh the following year in 1997 at the Juggling Convention. And my time was 27:15. I tend to do about like a race a week in the spring and the fall. The races that I do are usually 10K or longer. I've done some marathons too. I've done the New York Marathon, the Boston Marathon. I'm going to do San Diego Marathon soon. I've done the Marine Corps Marathon a couple times. Since I can't see where I'm going, I always have to start in the back at all these races. With 5 balls, I have to stop juggling sometimes if it's really crowded or if there are potholes or going around turns. I have to stop just to see where the turn is, go around the turn, and then I'll start juggling again. By running and juggling, I do get a total workout. My arms are tired, my legs are tired. I'm pretty tired all over on like my longer runs. It might not always be so healthy because like when the sun's out, I'm like staring into the sun, and I don't know how healthy that is. Or I could step in a pothole and twist my ankle, and I don't know how healthy that would be. But in terms of being in shape, I guess as long as I'm careful, I would think it's a pretty good workout.
Come up here, you gotta finish juggling. You gotta finish juggling. Don't drop it. Don't drop it. Yes! Amazing.
Folks, I want to thank you for coming out. My name is Michael Rossman. I graduated 5 years ago from the University of Delaware with a degree in finance. Until a couple years off, I traveled around the world performing, and now my parents think I'm in law school.
I think of juggling as a tool to perform. It's the excuse to go out there and make people laugh.
No, it's not dropped till it touches the sidewalk.
I call my show Amazing Feats of Comedy, and it's just a fun presentation. And what I have done is I've learned a lot of really cool tricks. Some of them are dangerous or perceived to be dangerous, appear dangerous. And then what I've done is I've wrapped a lot of comedy and personality through them to make them interesting and amusing to watch and also to perform. I have a lot of fun doing it, and I use a lot of volunteers from the audience, and so a lot of things are different. Every show is different. Every show is unique. And because my show is so much improvisation and there's a slight bit of goofiness, you know, it's okay if I drop things. Sometimes the shows are better when I do drop things.
It's okay, I'm not hurt.
I don't really practice a lot. I work a lot, and that keeps my skills sharp. Over the last 2 years, most of my work has been corporate work, spot dates here and there, and then I've been doing a lot of college work. The last 3 or 4 years, I've been doing a lot of college shows. I go and I showcase around the country, and the schools block book me, stuff like that. I did 2 months at a casino in Atlantic City, and that was a great experience. And then I sort of fill in the empty spaces with a cruise ship here and there. I do like 3 or 4 a year, usually for like 1 to 2 weeks, just because that's all my schedule will allow. Harbor Place, which is one of the great street performing places in the world, is right here in Baltimore, and it's just a great place to perform. You can see what works and what doesn't work. You know, from not just from the applause, but whether the people stay and how fast the crowd builds, and you know, and how you do in your hat later. You know, you're working strictly for tips and donations, and so that's another good way to tell how well your show is going, how well it's being appreciated.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hey, thanks a lot, buddy. Hey, thanks a lot, sweetie.
The 6th Annual Congress of Jugglers is a juggling convention open to jugglers and non-jugglers alike. at the University of Maryland this year. During the convention, I would say there are maybe 3 main things that happen. One is just a really relaxed, informal getting together of jugglers. There's also a little bit more formal setting for workshops where people who maybe are looking to learn a skill will go and a single instructor will teach them, say, introductory ball juggling or introductory club passing or something of that sort. And then finally there are competitions.
Usually at every convention we have something that everyone can participate in, everyone who wants to, called games. Some examples of that would be 3-ball blind juggling, where everyone tries to juggle with their eyes closed. This is harder than it sounds because most people juggle looking at the balls. But everybody juggles with their eyes closed until there's one person left, and then whoever is left is the winner. Some other games we do would be club gathering, where someone feeds the clubs to you in a high arc so you can have time to catch them, and you try and catch and hold as many as you possibly can, and the one with the most clubs at the end wins.
Excellent job, excellent job. I have to do that again?
The public show is probably the crowning event of the juggling convention. It'll be essentially a variety show of a lot of different jugglers. Luckily in the Washington area we're blessed with quite literally some of the best jugglers in the world, and you'll see all kinds of things there. We hope to bring in a lot of people from the non-juggling crowd and sort of introduce them to this world, which we think is quite a fun place to be.
Juggling is a lifetime sport, so when I'm 98, I'm still going to be rocking, baby. Definitely.
Juggling allows adults to do something that they don't normally do, and that is just, you go out and you play with stuff.
It's something in which mind and body really come to terms. And this is one of the things I think that has an innate attraction for people. Their minds are entranced by watching it because they see an order to it, and they see colors, and they see just the beauty of motion. And this is something that the juggler tries to communicate.
It is doable. It's not something that you have to be godlike to do. And so I'm trying to get that one down, but you see the balls don't always hit each other. But sometimes they do. Come back in a year and I'll have that one down.